Monster Integration by Inwan. Chapter 421 First Tez. I have never felt this kind of sensation before. What I am feeling now is a very tiny bit of terrifying suppression over me, but it had completely immobilized me, so much that I wasn't even able to move my finger. I feel like I am not even ant compared to the being that is this suppression is coming from. This is the suppression high-stage powerhouse on a low level, but the suppression of life order. The being that this suppression originated from is at a high order of life. If she had been a human, she is not anymore, as she has transcended from humans. She is a higher level being now. The level of that being is so high that even tiny suppression from it left me in this condition. If she were in front of, then I wouldn't be just immobile, I would have fallen unconscious directly at best and dead at worst. The suppression I am feeling is a very tiny bit, but this suppression is increasing with time. Though the speed of increase is barely noticeable, it is still increasing nevertheless. I am unable to move my body in my current condition. I wonder what will happen if this suppression kept increasing. Seeing the suppression increasing, I tried to move my body a little bit. Even a little bit is fine. I have to quickly get used to this suppression. Only getting used to will I able to resist it for a longer period of time. With that thought, I actively concentrated on the suppression. In normal times it would be suicidal, like jumping in the fire, but for my current condition, this is the best option. Only after facing this suppression head-on will I be able to get used to it and endure it for a longer period of time, otherwise it wouldn't be long before I became so suppressed that I would faint on the spot. Zing! As my will touched the source where suppression is releasing, I froze on the spot. Not only my body had frozen but also my thoughts. My thoughts, which were fast as an arrow, have now become slow as a snail. I am taking 10 times more time to form this simple thought than I usually do, and this feeling is so torturous that I just want to let go of my concentration and endure without actively seeking it. I have never felt this kind of feeling before. It's like someone had bound me with chains and kept loose enough that I could only take a tiny step at the time, and to take that step and I have to put a lot of effort, and this feeling is not physical but mental, and that made it even more painful. For someone who had never experienced this kind of feeling ever before, it is very torturous. It would have been fine if this sensation suppresses me only physically, which I would have easily able to endure as I did earlier, but when this suppression suppressed me to this degree that my thoughts slowed down, it felt torturous. And this torturous feeling I am getting is not from the suppression I am feeling, though the suppression is the reason for freezing my thoughts. The main reason I am feeling torturous because this feeling of mental binding is foreign to me, which is making me uncomfortable, and this uncomfortableness I have felt before is torturous. It took me quite a while to tap down the uncomfortableness I am feeling and completely focus on the suppressive sensation. It had grown stronger in the time I was busy dealing with the uncomfortable feeling, and now it had grown stronger. My thoughts became even slower, and my body, which had already been immobile, had become staged that not even tiny twitching movement could be made. Seeing I will have to do something soon before my thoughts are completely freeze up, I again put my concentration on the suppressive feeling and started to visualize memories. Normally only slight though needed remember the memory in mind, but now I have to concentrate to remember and it is taking quite an effort doing that. My main objective is to keep my mind going, and what could best way that remembering old memories? There are a couple of other things I could do as well. Like perform math or think about difficult problems, that would have made my mind worked harder than just simple remembering memories, but I think memories are the best option, and that is why I kept remembering them. Time passed by and it became harder and harder to play memories in my mind, but I still continue to play the memories in my mind. The memories I first played in my mind were just a pleasant one, like peaceful moments with the family and friends, but as the suppression increased, I started to remember important memories that brought out emotions in me. Like the memories that give joy, sadness, and other emotions, but soon these memories weren't enough to stop the freezing of my mind, so I started remembering life-changing memories, the memories where my life had completely changed. Like the monster horde that attacked my town when I was 11 and killed my friend, or when the 3 fatties had fed me the monster, or the birth of my sister. These are all memories that had changed the course of my life, one way or another, and made me who I am today. With these memories playing in my mind, I felt a lot better. A second ago I was barely able to think any things. The pressure of suppression lessened a little and my thoughts regained little of their former speed, but it lasted for a few minutes before suppression came back stronger than ever. Even remembering the memories had become a very, very strenuous task that I had nearly reached my limit and could snap any moment, but despite that, I continue replying to the memory. The memory I am remembering is that of the birth of my sister. It is clear as the day in mind as it happened just yesterday. I still remember that when I first time saw the face of my sister, I thought she is the world's most beautiful girl in the world. I started to love her the moment my eyes fell on her and swore that I will always protect her, and for that, I have to become stronger, strong enough to thwart any danger that came in her way. With that thought, I let the suppression wash over me. In such powerful suppression, I lost the ability to think, and now holding on to a single thought in the immense suppressions through the sheer will. There is only one though remain in my mind, and that is to hold on as long as possible, as only then will I able to get the greatest reward. Times passed by as I kept enduring the suppression through my sheer will, but finally, the moment comes when I couldn't hold off anymore, as the last spark of my will started doused off from the raging wind of suppression. The final moment. I thought as I kept holding on that dousing spark of will, when suddenly the spark of will that had nearly doused off burned with resplendent brightness, that it had cleared away all the suppression I was feeling, and my thoughts have become so clear that I felt like, if I wanted to, I could remember every single memory of my life or solve the hardest problem that puzzled me, but before I could do any of that I fainted. Chapter 422 Second Tez. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in the same spot as I earlier, sitting cross-legged, and saw that my thoughts had become clearer than before, a way clearer. So, it was real. I thought my mind had given me delusion before making me unconscious, but seeing how clear my thoughts have become, I know what I sensed my will exploding was not the delusion. Though its effects are not as exaggerated as that I had sensed earlier, its effects are very good, and I can feel that my soul power had increased quite much after it was baptized by that terrifying suppression. Congratulations on passing the first test. Are you ready for a second? The ethereal voice asked. Yes, I said immediately, as I am in very high spirits right now with the advancement in my soul power and feel like I could clear any test right now. As I said yes, I found myself top snowy hill. Everything around me is blanketed in snow, that except for snowy white, I can't see any other color. The scenery in front of me is snowy white, and it looked extremely beautiful, and while looking at it, a feeling of loneliness couldn't help but arise in my heart. There is not much change in me, except I am wearing very thick winter clothes. They have covered every part of my body, including my face, which had been covered with the winter mask, and I am holding 2 snow poles in my hand. You passed the test of will, and now this will be the test your perseverance. If you want to reach the apex, you need to have the will to shoulder the world and perseverance to cross the sea. Only then you will achieve the strength to crush the world, said the voice. Hearing an ethereal voice say such spirited words, every cell of my body is filled with energy that I could wait for the second test to start. In the second test, you just have to walk till you can't anymore. Like last time, the more you walk the greater your rewards would be, and remember you can stop at one place more than 5 minutes, said the ethereal voice with a hint of laughter. Just as the ethereal voice disappeared, I was hit the cold wind. If not for me wearing this very thick winter coat, I would have definitely turned into the popsicle. Chatter chatter, fuck. My teeth started to chatter by the coldness, and I instinctively summoned fire, only to see there is no response. That is not the only bad news though. The really bad news that I had lost all the strength I had accumulated since bonding and now turned into a normal human. If I had my physical strength, then even without my fire ability, I would have lasted quite long, but now with strength of the normal human, I don't know how much I can last. In such cold weather even walking an hour would be a challenge. Still, there is no backing down now. I have to get a good reward. It should be good enough that it will raise my strength by a notch. With the thought of reward in mind, I took the step onto very thick snow. It's good thing I have snow poles in my hand, otherwise it would have been very difficult to walk in such heavy snow. I took a step after step as I climbed down the small hill. I have to walk carefully, otherwise I will case a small avalanche, and that will be very bad for me. As I am walking in the snow, I was also marveling how real this place feels. It feels many times more real compared to the crystal in the guild, though that also feels very real. One gets slight feeling that it is not real, but here, despite everything being fake, it feels very real. If not for me knowing this is all fake and my psyche inside very advanced imagination crystal, I would have thought everything is real without a doubt. That is how real this feels. I wonder at what stage that powerhouse is who had created this test. From everything I have seen, it is not any Lord stage powerhouse could do. Hell, I don't think even Duke stage powerhouse won't able to create like that. Only those powerhouses of high stages will have a chance to create something like this. I can tell this with confidence because I have seen the prowess of these two stages from the memories that were present in the white axe from which I had comprehended the killing rule. Huff huff. As I reached the base of the hill, I started to take the deep breaths tiredly. It hadn't been 15 minutes since I started walking and I am already feeling tired, I thought, and continued to walk. It's all fake, the place I am in is fake, the snow I am walking on is fake, the winter coat I am wearing is fake, and tiredness I am feeling is also fake, everything is fake here. I started to repeat this mantra in my mind as I walked, and it seemed effective, though it did not make me see the reality of this world as real as the real world, it still helped me mentally. Is this what matters the most? I kept chanting the mantra in mind as I kept taking the step, and with this mantra, despite feeling tired, I continued to take the steps forward. Time passed by and 2 hours much have passed when my speed had slowed down, and now my speed had become slow that it is taking me quite long to take the steps forward. There is no day and night in the world, the current setting is that of the twilight hour, so after a few hours of walking, I had completely lost the sense of time. Sometimes I feel only a few hours had passed, sometime I feel a day passed. Due to this always twilight setting, I had completely lost the track of time, which again making frustrated, and I channel this frustration to take the steps forward. Fuck. I cursed sometime later when I found the snowfall started, and it was not the normal snowfall but the heavy snowfall, as if tiredness was not enough that now I had to endure this heavy snowfall. Chatter chatter. Walking in the heavy snowfall extremely tiring, and top of that there is fall in the temperature which had already turned me into the half popsicle. The cold I was feeling earlier was bearable, but now the temperature had fallen, I had turned into a half popsicle, and chattering sound from could be constantly heard. This is all fake, this is all fake. I kept repeating in my mind, but it did not seem to help me as much as before, but still, I couldn't care less. There is only one goal is in my mind, which is to take the next step. Take the next step, that is my goal. I have to keep taking the next step no matter how tired I am or how cold I am feeling. Zhu. As I was taking the step, I felt the cold wind passing through me, which made my already cold, and that is not the end of my trouble as the speed of the wind kept increasing. There will be blizzard soon, I thought, and changed my direction. Though this will not save me from the blizzard, it will buy me some time in this world, and that what matters. To get a big reward, I have to stay in this world as long as possible. As I thought about the reward, my steps became even more hurried despite I am being extremely tired and a half popsicle. Zhu. As time passed, the winds and snowfall got stronger and stronger, and the visibility had completely disappeared. I can't even see half a meter ahead of me, and because of this low visibility, I continue to fall on the snow now and then. I feel very very tired in this torturous weather and just wanted to let go and close my eyes. I want to do that for hours, but every time I steeled myself from the thoughts of giving up and continue to walk with help of sheer will. Fuck. I cursed. This time I have not cursed because of tiredness but because of the blizzard. It had swept me inside it, and now I am experiencing the sword-like winds across my body and chilling temperature which had completely turned me into the popsicle. She better be impressed with this perseverance of mine and gives me a good score for this test, otherwise, I am going curse her very dearly, I thought before going completely conscientious due to becoming a complete popsicle. Chapter 423 Third Test. Congratulations on passing the second test, said the ethereal voice. This is the first voice I heard just as I became conscious. When I opened my eyes, I found myself standing on the simple fighting ring, which is big enough that even the lieutenant stage could fight comfortably, one at much me who is at the sergeant stage. Thank you, I said after looking around. Since you have passed the 2 tests, it is time for you to take the third test, the test of strength, the ethereal voice said. Looks like I will have fight an opponent to pass the test of strength, I thought as I looked the fighting ring that I am standing on. You have already passed the test of will and perseverance, the test of strength should not be difficult for you. The third test will start in 1 minute, and this test you have to finish early as possible to get the maximum score, said ethereal voice with a soft laugh. Whoever this supreme powerhouse that designed these tests is sure as masochist, who torture people intentionally. As the ethereal voice disappeared, a sword came to my hand and to my surprise, it is my sword, the red sword that I used regularly. How considerate of her. Gasp. Time passed and 30 seconds passed and my opponent appeared in front of me, and when I saw my opponent, I couldn't help but get shocked because the opponent I am facing is me. My opponent is me. He looked exactly like me, wearing exactly the same clothes as me and holding the same red sword as me. I am going to fight me? I asked myself, then started to wonder how I am going to win if fight myself. I didn't have time to think about it as the countdown started and all I could do ready myself for the fight. Tong. As large tongs sounded as the countdown reached 0 and exact same moment, my opponent and I, who was also me, went for each other. We came at each other with the same speed and holding the sword at the similar style. Clank. As our sword clashed, I come to know that not my opponent looked like me and use all my skill, he can also use my rule power. The rule power which said to impossible things to replicate is replicated in from me. I can feel the same flavor of rule power from him that I comprehended which should be impossible, but here it is becoming possible. I have never in my wildest dream thought that I will be fighting me, who is an exact copy of mine and could use all my abilities including the ruling power. I have way too underestimated the powerhouse who had created this test that I didn't dare to imagine which level that powerhouse had reached. Clank clank. Our weapon clashed. He and I used the exact same moves and reacted exactly the same way with no exception. I am my opponent, then how I am going to win against myself? I continue to ask myself. This is making me frustrating as no matter what move I make, it has easily been countered by the opponent. In my frustration, I just want to throw my sword and give up, as clearly this is an undefeatable opponent, but if this was an undefeatable opponent and then this would be the test. There is some way to win this battle. As this thought came into my mind, all the frustration I am feeling evaporated in a flash as I wholeheartedly started concentrating on my opponent to find any way or loophole to defeat him. First I did not see anything, but after 10 minutes of fighting, I noticed something which made me extremely happy. I was such a dumb fuck. I cursed myself. All 3 tests are not just tests but also opportunities. The first test helped me sharpen my will and helped me enhance my soul power. The second test boosted my perseverance and gave me a wide view about the world, and the third test, which I'm going through now, will help me increase my strength directly. I am fighting myself, and all the moves he is making and abilities he is using all mine. That means by observing with it, I can find fault in it and exploit. This is way not only will I able to defeat my opponent but will also able to know the weakness my moves have, what should be done to improve them, which will help me increase my strength directly, but it's easier said than done. It would have been quite easy if I had been not finding myself who knows me from my core, so defeating myself would be 10 times stronger than defeating oneself who knows everything about you. Still is the only way I could find, and I am very willing to try it. Clank clank clank. My weapons clashed with my opponent, and in just 5 minutes, I had found more than 20 mistakes in my moves which could be easily solved. I usually film myself while fighting to see the mistakes I am making and to refine my moves, but I have to say, I had never found so much mistake in one go, and this just starting. As time passed by, I found more and more mistakes that their number reached very close to hundreds, which made me gasp in shame, as I have never thought I make so many mistakes while fighting. Some of these mistakes are small and some are big, but all of them are easily fixable with a little tweak. Seeing all this mistake, I started to fix them one by one and continued to test them against my opponent, and this way I had not only fixed my mistake but also continued to improve them, and while I am doing that, I got a pleasant surprise. As I started to fix and improve my mistake, our fight was on the equal term and nobody able to gain the upper hand in battle due to both having similar strength and using similar moves, but as time passed, I started to gain upper hand slowly. The more I kept fixing and improving my moves, the more I kept gaining the upper hand in the fight, and by the time I had fixed and improved half of my mistake, I started to completely dominate my opponent. He may have my strength and move, but it can't improve. He is like a copy of mine taken before the start of a fight. At first we were equal, but as I kept improving, it kept getting suppressed by me, and by the time I fixed and improved 3/4 of my mistakes, I had completely suppressed him that I could easily finish the fight, but I did not do that. This is the rare chance to improve, and while doing that I may lose some of my scores, but I didn't care. This opportunity of improving isn't less than reward. Time passed by as I continued to fix and improve my mistakes, and by the time I am done improving and fixing all the mistakes, my opponent had utterly suppressed under my sword, and that so much that I will only need the slash to finish the fight, and that is what I did. Chapter 424 A Drop of Blood. I decapitated my opponent with the slash, and instead of falling down, the bust and head my opponent turned into the smoke before vanishing. This battle had been really amazing. Not only I get to see my mistakes, but I also got a chance to correct it, and the fight even give me a few ideas about the new moves. All 3 tests had improved my strength significantly and gave me confidence enough to say that if I consolidate my gains in a few days and improved one more time, then passing the 3rd guild challenge would be a breeze. Congratulations on passing the 3rd test, said the ethereal voice as I was busy with my thinking. And now it is time for your rewards, said the ethereal voice, and next moment everything in front of me changed and I found myself in completely different space. It seemed to be big underground cavern, and around me is hundreds of caves. These caves looked exactly the same except for one minor difference. That these caves are sealed with white and red film of energy. Most of these caves were sealed with a film of white energy. Only 10 some caves are sealed with the red energy, and there is a circle of golden stars above my head. There are 10 stars, of which 9 are lit while the 10th one is dimly lit than others. If I am not wrong, then this should be my score. One more thing that made me pleasantly surprised, that I am back into reality, as I am wearing the same clothes I wore before entering that runic gate, and I have all my gear on me, and most importantly, I can feel my connection with Ashlyn. Choo-choo. I was about to contact her when she came out of me suddenly and started to chirp at me loudly, asking why I was not responding to her and how she was worried about me, and how she wasn't able to come out no matter how much she tried. I was about to pacify her when the ethereal voice called out again. You have passed the 3 tests with a near-perfect score and now free to enter any cave of white energy layer to get your reward. The rewards you will get will wholly depend on your luck, and remember you have only one chance to choose, said ethereal voice with a hit of a laugh. Luck? Only one chance to choose? Is she shitting me? I have passed all 3 tests just to try my luck. But I forcefully calmed myself down and asked the question that I am most curious about. Can you tell me what type of reward in those caves, and will I encounter an empty cave? I asked. My biggest fear is if there are empty caves and I chose one of them. I want to be mentally prepared if something like that is arranged by that powerhouse. There are no empty caves, and every cave had a reward that will be useful to you. As for what rewards there are many, like occult methods, top-grade inheritances, dupe-grade or above weapons, and some other things, ethereal voice said. Hearing the list of rewards, I am shocked. I had expected rewards to be great but never expected them to be this great. The maximum grade of reward I had expected is Lord grade, but here all of the rewards are above Lord grade. Now the question is choosing the cave. Which one should I choose? It would have been quite good if the rewards were displayed so I can see them and evaluate and then choose the best one for me, but here everything is dependent on the luck. The reward I will get will depend on the cave that I enter. There must be near 300 caves here, except for 12 caves that are blocked by red energy film that is prohibited. I can enter any one of these 300 caves. If my score had been a little bit higher, then all the caves would have been opened for me. Well, it didn't matters anymore, and there are more than enough option for me to choose one from. Choo-choo-choo. I was just thinking of choosing the cave when Ashlyn's loud chirp disturbed me, and when I looked to see, I found she is excitedly motioning her wing toward one cave. She looked very excited. I have never seen her this much excited before. Do you want me to go there? I asked, to which she chirped excitedly and nodded with her little head. In normal times she wouldn't have waited for me and flew inside the cave, but this time she obediently stood on my shoulder. It is likely because she had sensed that she could not enter the cave without me. She is always very keen about certain things and her intuition is always correct. Ashlyn had never been wrong about treasure, and now she somehow sensed the treasure inside the cave most suitable for us, so I am very sure the treasure inside that cave. I walked toward the cave and entered inside it, though the white energy layer, and the next moment I have transported to a different place again. It is a completely dark room, but in the center of the room is thumb-size bottle is floating and reading red glow when it seems to light the whole room. When I moved closer, I found that it is not a bottle that is glowing but the red drop of liquid that is glowing. I first thought it is human blood drop but soon discarded that thought as the color of drop inside is not crimson red but sangria red, and that is not the color of blood that humans have. It is likely to monsters' blood, as I've only seen their blood came in the different shade of red. Choo choo. Ashlyn excitedly chirped at me, asking me to take the bottle and give her that delicious liquid to drink. I did not hurry to pick up the bottle despite Ashlyn's insistence. Instead, I decided to observe it more. The bottle, which seems simple at first glance, is not the simple bottle, as the bottle is filled with the tiny runic arrays. These runes were not seen to the eyes unless one looks them very closely. The blood inside that bottle is seen to be very precious, otherwise it wouldn't have been kept in the bottle that itself cost a fortune. The blood in the bottle did not seem to giving off any dangerous fluctuation except for the glow. After seeing there is nothing wrong with the bottle, I picked it from the air. Choo choo choo. Just as I did, Ashlyn again started chirping at me excitedly, saying I should quickly open the bottle and gave her blood inside it to eat. I wanted to wait till we reached home to research about, but seeing how excited she is, and if I did give it to her, she will not let me hear the end of it, and another reason is that Ashlyn always been sure about the thing she wants to eat. So, I opened the bottle from her, but just as I opened the bottle, I sensed a very fearful aura, and just as I sensed this fearful aura, I know I had made a great mistake about this blood. The aura was very fearful that it had completely immobilized me physically, just like the suppression did earlier, but the difference between the two is very great. The one I sensed earlier had shaken me to the core with just a tiny bit of suppression, and the feeling I got from it that at higher level life form in the food chain that has transcended. This aura is very powerful as it directly coming from the drop liquid, but it could not be compared to the suppression I felt earlier. As for why I am being completely immobilized, that is because of this blood in front of me from the higher stage powerhouse, which is way too stronger than me. Its drop of blood is enough to immobilize me. As I was observing the aura and noticed a peculiar thing about it when I saw Ashlyn being completely fine as she came close to the bottle and drank away drop of blood that has already appeared top of it before I could even stop her. Chapter 425 Advancing Leaps and Bounds. Ashlyn drank away drop of blood from the bottle, and that had horrified me, as I clearly know the powerhouse that drop of blood came from is powerful beyond imagination. Drinking the blood of such a powerful being is very dangerous. I still remember how the monster core felt when the three fatties had fed it to me. It was just 3 small stages higher than me, and only 10% of its energy was enough to blow me like a balloon, but this drop of blood is from the powerhouse that is way stronger than the monster core of the master stage monster. Ashlyn spitted. Oh, my words stopped in my mouth when Ashlyn turned into energy and went inside me. I telepathically tried to contact her, but no use, as I had received no response from her. It's like she had turned deaf to my ears. She is probably fallen into slumber. Excuse me, can you help please? I screamed loudly, asking that ethereal voice for help, but I received no response from her. I asked again and again, but there is no response from that ethereal voice. I asked for help, but seeing there is no response, I started to curse that ethereal voice in the hope she will respond, but I received no response from her. I am not that worried about my life, but Ashlyn's, if to save her life I have to sacrifice my life, then I am willing to go for it. She had been with me since the day she was born, and after bonding, we have become even closer. Why she had to be so gluttonous? If she could have just waited for a day, we would have found the details about it and a safe way to use it, but no, she wanted to eat it here and now, and like an idiot I let her have her wish. If I had been a little strong and did not bow in front of her wish, she wouldn't be this predicament. I kept screaming for help for some time and slumped against the wall, seeing there is no response for the ethereal voice. Ashlyn is still in the slumber. No matter how many I call her, I got no response. Now all I could do is wait and hope for the best. Hun. Time passed by. I stayed slumped in the darkness, helpless to do anything when I sensed something happening inside my source. Gasp. I quickly closed my eyes and started to concentrate on my source, and became quite shocked to see what is happening inside there. My source, which is like the silver miniature sun, has a tiny bit of oily berserk energy mixed into it. It is now turning even shinier and its aura also increasing. I can see the shadow of Ashland's source in the bird form releasing silvery energy into my source, making it shinier as it kept doing that. Aura of my source kept increasing. My ability is advancing. The source represents my mana and the ability I have, and it becoming it brighter and rising in aura clearly means my ability is advancing. I have become happy about it for a moment, but soon that happiness drowned by the worry. That drop of blood is no small matter. Not only it came from a very powerful powerhouse, but it also contains a very tiny amount of rule power. It is barely discernible, but it still presents in that blood drop. I had sensed fluctuation of that rule of power for a brief moment, but I know that ruling power is way above mine. If I am not wrong, then this rule power should be at the intermediate grade. Intermediate grade rule power is very powerful. I have seen its fearfulness in the memories of the White Axe. I am very sure that only a fraction of that intermediate grade rule power had remained in that blood drop, otherwise I would have directly reached the heaving without buying the ticket. Currently ticked to heaven is my hand, and if I am able to board it or not will wholly depend on the Ashland, who is now fallen completely unconscious. I kept observing my source, which is getting brighter and brighter and its aura more fearful over the time, and by my estimation, my fire ability had already become twice as strong as before, and it is still advancing at a visible rate. Gasp. I observed my source for a while before deciding to check Ashland's source, and that is where I got my biggest shock. The blood drop which Ashland ate earlier is now silently floating above Ashland's source, and a blood-red line is extended from it which connected to the source of Ashland. Through this line, Ashland's source seemed to be sucking the insane amount of energy from it, and as it continues sucking the energy, Ashland's source is becoming stronger and stronger. As I continue to observe it, I noticed one problem: that the blood drop is containing immense energy, and the amount of energy Ashland's source is taking from it is a way too immense. Taking this much amount of energy, Ashland's source would have exploded within seconds, but it is continuing just fine without any problem. But the thing confusing me is the amount of energy. The amount of energy that blood drop is releasing is too much. Even if the ability is advancing, it shouldn't take this much energy. Even 0.001 would be enough, for it keeps advancing. So where is the rest of 99.99% energy that Ashland's source is taking is going? The more I think about it, the surer I became that the energy is going somewhere, but I can't seem to find it where, no matter how much I try. Seeing there is no mulling over it, as I am not going to find the answer, I focus my concentration somewhere, and that is the blood drop. The blood drop is releasing the same amount of aura earlier, but in this space, it is barely affecting me, and seeing that, I started to study it to quench my curiosity. The blood drop is like the sun that had infinite energy. No matter how much energy Ashland's source is taking, there isn't much change on it. As I continue to observe it, I became sure that this blood is from a very powerful monster. My earlier conjecture was based on the color of the blood, but I made this conjecture sensing the aura from the blood drop. It had the same flavor of bloodthirstiness that monsters have, but this bloodthirstiness is very controlled, very unlike the dumb monsters I used to fight. As I was observing the blood drop of monster, I got a very good look at the very faint rule power that this blood drop contains, and if I am not wrong, then this rule is rule of fire, and not the normal grade 3 fire rule, but its variation, a grade 2 fire rule. I want to comprehend it. If I successful comprehending even a tiny bit of it, then this fire rule will help me advance my sunfire rule, which is not very far from reaching the mid-level of the basic stage. Chapter 426: Advancing Leaps and Bounds 2. I look at the blood drop which is floating above Ashland's source and concentrate on it specifically. I concentrate on the very faint but fearful fire rule that emitting from the blood drop. I am hoping to comprehend something that could help me advance my sunfire rule a little, it close to reaching the mid-level of basic grade. The chasm may seem small, but it very great that some people even took years to reach that level. Every rule is different. Even if it is the same type of rule, there are always differences exist between them. The fire rule that the blood drop is emitting had very violent quality, may I say it is simply berserk. The rule power comprehended by humans has always had some stability, but the one comprehended by the monsters always had berserk quality in it. Even the sunfire that Ashland had comprehended is hard to control perfectly. The killing energy of killing rule, which said to be filled with madness, was easier to control than this sunfire rule Ashland had comprehended. It is very difficult to control them perfectly, but for the past few days, my control over sunfire increasing at very fast speed, and the reason is that my practice on harvesting elemental mana crystals. Though I am nowhere close to harvesting the elemental mana crystal, it had indirectly improved control over my Sunfire rule. I wished that rule power inside that blood drop would not be this faint. If it has been on the same grade as the rule in White Axe by now I would have started comprehending something. I can't compare two of them as there is a vast difference between them. One had reached the Grandmaster grade while other is just at reached advanced grade. Those who comprehended rule to the Grandmaster grade are the true powerhouses of the world, they just needed to take one step to reach the apex. I continue to concentrate on the blood drop and time to time, I do get some comprehension but that comprehension is too little to advance my rule to mid-level of basic grade. Still, the progress may be small but it is still progress that is taking my rule power a little closer to the mid-level and it's not like that is the only benefit I am getting on concentrating on the blood drop. For some time as I kept concentrating on it, an unclear image started to come into my mind. It is a giant monster that has the body above the 100-meter tall. Wherever it moved, the destruction follows and the reason for that destruction is the raging fire it breathes through its mouth. It is very fearsome, whatever it touched will get burned by it. It is not the memory I am sure of it but what it is exactly I don't know but more see these unclear scenes flashing by my mind, the more I started to understand the fire which seemed to be making my connection with Sunfire stronger. Even though the rule of Sunfire is imprinted in me, I always felt there is a gap between us. I did not understand it the way I understood the killing rule as it is not the rule that I had comprehended through my understanding. But ever since these unclear images started to appear before my eyes, I started to feel like the gap that exists between me Sunfire is closing and I started to understand it as I understood my killing rule. Which itself is enough, with much closer connection with Sunfire, my control over it will increase and I will be able to use it more perfectly. Once in a while, I took a break from comprehending to look at Ashlin's condition to see if she has woken from her slumber but I always got disappointed as there is no change in her condition. As for the advancement of ability, it had already become 5 times stronger than before and continued to advance. Time passed by as I tried to comprehend the rule while looking at the blood drop when I suddenly sensed something and when I looked up, I saw I am leveling up. Leveling up. I had never expected this to happen this early as I level up just a week ago and I need a month of time before the miracle fruit energy to grow enough to help me level up but now I am leveling up. It is likely due to the blood drop, its immense energy must have sparked the potential of Ashlyn that we suddenly started to level up. The level up may have started by the blood drop but it is not providing the energy for it. I had used the energy of the monster core in my stomach to provide for the mana needed for the level up. I continued to level as I tracked the changes happening to my body. Every level up provided the boost in power. The boost it provided may not look much in front of the rule power but it is very important. It has not only increased physical power but also increased the soul power which is very important for rule power. Without sufficient soul power rule power can't be used. With my earlier advancement in soul power and this level up, I wouldn't have to be worried about the insufficient soul power even if 2 of my rule powers advanced to the mid-level of basic grade. The level up continues for a few minutes and I finally level up to the peak level of Sergeant stage. Now my next step would be the Master stage and I will be going to give my all to reach that before I head to the Aphorine ruin. The worry about the clearing 3rd challenge if guild had completely disappeared right now. Even if I am not able to defeat the opponent of 3rd challenge, I have the confidence to get into a tie with it and with the improvement of week or 2 I will easily able to beat it. Before entering the cave, I had never expected I would make such huge progress but now I had made enough progress that would have taken me at least a month to make. I was busy with my thought when I sensed the blood drop had stopped transmitting the energy to Ashlyn's source and now quietly floating above her source. There is not much change in it and if I were to guess then Ashlyn's source barely took the 1% of blood drop energy while 99% is still left in it. I looked at the blood drop with a complicated expression. It had not only improved my ability but also helped me comprehending rule a little and taught me about control of fire. It may look stable now but anything could happen. Its presence in Ashlyn's source is like a ticking time bomb that could explode any time. I shook bad thoughts and carefully observed my source which is now giving off impressive pressure. If I am not wrong then my fire ability has become at least 8 times stronger. It is now comparable to the ability of my friends and this is just starting as there is 99% blood drops power had remained to be used. Chapter 427 Night Attack. Choo-choo. As I was observing my source, I heard the cheerful chip of Ashlyn. It is chirp that said I had a wonderful meal and I am feeling very good. I was about to scream at her when I heard an ethereal voice. I had never expected this little sparrow your drink the blood of king stage monster and survive. It looks like this little sparrow is very special. Well, it is time to bid goodbye. I hope we meet someday again in this world or another, said ethereal voice with a laugh, and before I could say anything, everything in from of me disappeared, and when I saw the light again, I found myself in front of the cave where Silver Ruin Gate first appeared. She had probably guessed that I am going to curse at her, that is why she had transported me out. And what at this world or another she was talking about? I wanted to ask her, but before I could I was transported out. Michael. I heard my name called in unison, only to see 3 people calling out my name. It is Ben, Richie, and Emma. They seemed to be sitting in the front cave, and seeing me suddenly appeared they called out my name. Where are the twins and team leader? I asked, seeing only 3 of them in front of me. To that they shook their head no. We don't know, we had just transported back here just like you, said Emma as she started explaining in detail. It turned out these guys have been transported outside the cave just like me. First, it was Ben who appeared an hour before, then it was Richie who was transported half an hour ago, and then it was Emma who just transported 5 minutes ago. I assume 3 of you passed all the tests, I said as I saw their battle power. There was obvious increase in it, and if I am not wrong about their battle power, then Emma had become powerful enough to clear the 3rd challenge. Richie had a 70% chance to clear the 3rd challenge. As for Ben, he also improved very much, but not to the degree that he would have the chance to clear the 3rd challenge. He may not able to clear it now, but I am sure that by the end of the month he will also able to clear the 3rd challenge. Still, I think I had made the biggest progress, and now I have the ability to fight Emma without losing. Though I will not win against her, I will not lose either. She will be able to suppress me in the battle, but she will not be able to completely defeat me. Yes, we did. Richie answer caught off guard when Raina suddenly appeared in front of us and started to look around. Where is Sophia? She asked as she did not see her sister. Worry could be clearly heard in voice as she asked for her sister. Not appeared yet, I said. She nodded hearing that and stood by the corner silently, but worry could still be seen her eyes. When I sensed the battle power of Raina, I got shocked as her battle power is greater than Ben. She and her sister were the weakest members of our team when they fought alone, but now Raina had upped the Ben. The evening is approaching, should we wait here or set up an abode? I asked, seeing sun would go down completely half an hour. We will wait for an hour. If they didn't appear in half an hour, we will set up an abode, said Emma. This is a mid-level hunting ground, a very dangerous place to stay at night, especially when the team leader is not present. Even if our strength had advanced by leaps and bounds, we are still not qualified to spend the night in the mid-level hunting ground. What about this cave? Raina asked, motioning at the cave in front of which Silvery Runic Gate had appeared earlier. I checked earlier, the cave is too narrow for even one person to stay, said Ben with a downcast expression. I was about to ask Ben whether he checked other caves around the ravine when another person suddenly appeared in front of us. Seeing him appear, all the worries in our mind instantly disappeared. I guess you guys have been well, said the team leader and started to ask some questions. We will wait for Sophia before setting up an abode nearby, said team leader, and everyone nodded happily. With team leaders with us, even if we have to spend the night in the open, we are ready. While waiting, we started to talk about what we encountered in the 3 tests. First and 3rd test was similar for everyone, only the 2nd test was different. Raina had to walk in the desert, team leader had to walk in the acid swamp, Ben had to walk in poisoned forest, only Emma had walked in the similar ecosystem as me. Sophia, we said in unison as she appeared. I have to say she had made us wait quite a while, as she took nearly an hour to appear after team leader. And when I sensed her battle power, an incredulous expression appeared on my face, as Sophia's battle power as her battle power is nearly the same as her sister Raina. Are they sisters or clones? I thought as I looked at their near exact battle power. Soon we found the good spot for the setup abode, and the team leader activated his Lord Great abode, which soon turned into the house. In the house, the cooking duty fell on me again, and like yesterday I got help. When we started to eat, the dinner conversation started to flow up as we talked about our experiences in the 3 tests. Everyone shared many things but stayed cleared of two things. First is score and second is the rewards. The score is because no one wants to brag or show their inferiority, and reward because they are related to one's strength and no one with the right mind would ask anyone their strength secret. The dinner went quite smoothly and everyone retired to their rooms as everyone is feeling quite tired after what they have gone through today. After going to my room, I started to scold at Ashlyn about what she did today, but half into my scolding, she entered inside and blocked her connection with her. Seeing that, I got angry again, but I can't do anything else as she had blocked our connection. After calming down from my anger, I slept as I also feeling extremely tired. Bang! 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 I was in a very sound sleep when I got awakened by loud insistent sound. What happened? I asked myself as I quickly walked out of the room and saw everyone walking out of their room in battle-ready more. When we reached the hall, we found that the team leader was already present and looking at the big screen. Gasp! But when we saw who was attacking our abode, we gasped in shock as we looked at the attacking Grim Race monster with extreme fear in our eyes. The one attacking the shield is a violet ape-man and in his hand is a huge warhammer that is the same size but our focus is not the giant warhammer but the forehead of violet ape-man where 3 big clear stars are drawn. A 3-star elite. Chapter 428 3-star elite. 3-star elite. Ben shouted loudly, yes, a 3-star elite which should be in the high-level hunting ground. 3-star elite is the limit of the powerhouse that Grim Race in the outpost area. They are very very powerful that they could kill us with the simple wave of their hand. The only star elite of the Grim Race I've fought is 1-star elite that was the in-guild challenge, but there is a clear difference between them, not to mention there is difference of 2-star between them. The one I fought was quite young while the one attacking our shield is adult Grim Race monster which has the height of the 5 meters. Each star represents the immense strength and the difference between them is quite vast as well. It is said that the guild challenge is developed according to the strength of Grim Race's star elites. The 3rd challenge of guild corresponds to 1-star elite, the 6th challenge corresponds to 2-star elite and the 9th challenge corresponds to the 3-star elite of Grim Race, and that is why we all looked at the team leader. From what Sophia said that only those who cleared all 9 guild challenges will be able to leave for the guild and before leaving they have to mentor a team of rookies. What is this 3-star elite doing in the mid-level hunting ground? Asked Emma. It is a valid question as 3-star elite should only be in the high-level hunting ground. They are doing the same what we are doing here, said the team leader and zoomed the screen on a certain spot where we saw a group of violet ape-men. There are 7 violet ape-men in the group and these violet ape-men have a height of about 2 meters which is quite smaller than the Grim Race monsters we usually fight. The Grim Race also follows the same system as us. They sent their elite rookies with 3-star elites to get the feel of the battlefield, said the team leader while looking screens front of him. He did not seem worried. I thought as I looked at the instructor's face, seeing that I felt relieved. If the instructor had been worried then we all would have been in trouble. Are you guys ready for the challenge? Team leader asked. Challenge? Sophia asked back with little fear in his voice. Yes, challenge. Team leader affirmed. Seeing this abode knew someone of its caliber is present in the house and that is why it is banging on our shield, to challenge me and you guys, said team leader. Why us? I asked. He is asking you for the challenge, why drag us into your mess? You fight, we will cheer for you from the safety of the abode. I will be fighting that big one and you guys will be fighting the little ones. The team leader said with a light smile on his face. Fight the little ones? Just as team leader said we looked at the 7 small violet ape-men, they are few meters behind the one that is attacking our abode's shield. I can tell from the one glance that these violet ape-men are different from the regular monsters that we fought. Not only they are younger but they also held a different bearing which reminded me of 1-star elite I had fought in the guild challenge. Team leader didn't have to tell us that the ones he is telling us to fight are a very strong opponent. They may not be a star elite but their strength won't be much far from it. To fight these opponents will be very exciting, especially now when we have advanced leaps and bound and only though the fight will be able to see how much we have improved. So, are ready for the challenge? Asked team leader. This time he didn't hide his excitement. Like us, the team leader should have also made big progress, and seeing the excitement on his face, he also wants to fight very much. Okay. We said okay one by one. This is the rare chance to fight the strong opponent. With team leader here we won't have to worry about being killed and could fight till our heart content without fear of that 3-star elite. We will wait till dawn before going out, said the team leader. We all nodded. There is only half an hour for the sunrise. That time would be perfect for us to fight as there won't be anything that impedes our vision, not that it matters to me anyway as I could see clear as day in the night with my killing rule. Time passed as we waited for the dawn while the big violet ape-man kept banging at our shield without stopping. Let's go, said the team leader as the sun started to appear in the sky. We followed behind the team leader. The big violet ape-man who was banging against our shield consistently for an hour stopped as the big smile appeared on his face. You are free to injure them seriously but don't kill them, said team leader as we walked out of the abode. Why? Asked Sophia. In the past 2 weeks instructor never asked us to not kill any grim monster. Hell, he used to kill whatever grim race monster we have come across in the low-level hunting ground and only stooped killing in mid-level 1, so when he asked not to kill the grim race monsters, we got quite confused. Because then even I might not able to save you from that big violet ape-man, said team leader. What if they tried to kill us? Sophia asked. Don't worry, they won't, and if they did kill you, then I will take revenge for you, said team leader, but this there was no smile on his face. We know what he said is no joke but the truth. After reaching a certain distance from big violet ape-man, team leader tapped few buttons on his holowatch and deactivated the shield that was covering up the abode. Ha ha ha. My wait hadn't been in vain. I knew you would accept my challenge, said Violet Ape-Man with a loud laugh. Shall we? Said team leader as he casually started to walk on the air, to which big Violet Ape-Man nodded and started walked on the air casually like our team leader. Void boot. They both have void boots, only those with void boots could walk this comfortably on the air, but not everyone can wear them as one needs to be kernel stage before one can power up the void boots. Boys, I leave rest you, have fun with them, said Violet Ape-Man to the group of ape-men below him. Don't worry leader, we will take good care of them, said the lead ape-man of the group who looked very ugly as he started to walk toward us with his group. All the Violet Ape-Men looked ugly and cruel, but this leader of group of ape-man is exceptionally ugly compared to his team members. It is so ugly that other members of its team started to look a little cute to me. Chapter 429 3-Star Elite 2. It's too bad leader said not to kill you, otherwise we would surely have you for the breakfast, said the leader of the Violet Ape-Men, but I did not listen to what he said as I am more focused on sensing their battle power. The ugly leader of Violet Ape-Man had the highest battle power I had ever sensed, so is Violet Ape-Man behind them. The leader of them at the lieutenant stage while the other Violet Ape-Men behind him are at the master stage. If I were to face them yesterday, I would have had no confidence to fight them, but today, I am very much excited to fight them. Two of the teams came closer, but we didn't started to fight right away as our focus on the fight between our leader that was about to start. As they reached sufficient height, the team leader had finally taken out its weapon and I was surprised to find that it is a bow. I had never expected team leader to be an archer. Most of the people used the short-range weapons as they are most easy to master and most flexible compared to the long-ranger weapons like the bow. Let's see how much the strength you have, said Big Violet Ape-Man as he summoned his totem. The totem spirit of this Violet Ape-Man looked very corporal compared to the ones summoned by the regular grim race monsters that we fought who had their totem very faint totem spirit. The totem spirit of the Violet Ape-Man only very corporal, but it is also very tall as it stood near 8 meters tall. The totem spirit appeared behind the leader of the Violet Ape-Man before it was merged back with the Violet Ape-Man as it covered it with the film of the violet. Bang! By the time Ape-Man did that, the arrow launched by the team leader had already appeared in front of the Ape-Man, but it did not seem worried as it swiftly brought down his big warhammer on the arrow, crushing it effectively. And right after that, he started to run toward our team leader with a very fast speed which one couldn't imagine it having seeing its size. It had just covered the 1/4 of the distance when the team leader started to attack it with a barrage of arrows that stopped its forceful momentum and forced it to take the few steps back. It may look like a few seconds had passed, but only a second had passed. Grim monster didn't take much time to summon their totem spirit. They took the nearly same time as we took to summon our totem artifact. It's all happened in the instant. I had hoped that after the battle started and both parties started to reveal their power, I would be able to sense their battle power and stage, but nope, I wasn't able to. The only thing I know that the team leader is Colonel Stage or higher, as only then he would able to use the void boots he wears. The battle kept going the same way. The Violet Ape-Man tried to close the distance with team leader but always forced back with a hail of arrows. It had launched many long-range attacks, but all of these attacks crushed by the arrows of the team leader. They are coming! I shouted suddenly. While I was watching the battle, I had also kept my senses locked on the group of 8 men. As soon as I sensed the spike in killing intent from the small leader of the 8-man, I shouted without waiting. Others were also vigilant, but they were not like me who have the killing rule, so as soon as I shouted all of them got ready, and it was a good thing I had shouted, as these Violet 8-men's speed is really great, as they appeared in front of us in second. Everyone had already had their power and abilities on hold and they heard my shout. They burst with the explosive might. There are 7 Violet 8 men in this group. Emma had decided to fight the ugly leader as he is the strongest, while others also chose their opponent one by one. Except for twins who are fighting the 3 8 men, everyone is fighting the single one. Seeing my opponent's warhammer coming toward me swift speed, I did not back down either. My sword moved toward the warhammer for the direct clash. As my sword moved forward, a bright silver fire came out of my hand, swiftly coved the red sword whole and started to revolve around it at very fast speed. My ability's power had increased by 8 times, alone it may not much, but when it was merged with the 2 rule powers of mine, it had burst with explosive power that gave me the confidence to clash my sword head-on against the giant warhammer of the Violet 8 men. Every 8-man tribe is known for its immense physical strength, and these Violet 8-man tribe known for their immense physical strength in the regular Grim race tribe. So, seeing I am clashing my sword against his warhammer directly, a hideous smile appeared on his ugly face, as if imagining the scenes of breaking bones and tearing scenes. Bang! My sword and its warhammer clashed, and the next moment immense energy traveled inside my body, and this energy is not normal, it is very thick as it is compressed by something. The warhammer. This warhammer is a special weapon. I have only come across the special weapons 2 times since I started fighting in the Grim battlefield. The first special weapon I have come across had the ability to produce a tearing force, the second one had the ability to make this force explode once the force entered the body. That was really tricky and injured me quite seriously, and the third one is this. This force is extra thick that once entered the body, it bombarded body blow that makes one feel that someone is banging his body with a hammer. This force is really uncomfortable and dangerous. Just as this force entered inside me, I caged it with help of my killing rule and burned it off using my sunfire rule, which I now able to control better than ever. How are you not injured? Asked the Grim race monster, asked with shocked expression, seeing I took his attack head-on with my sword. Not only I had not taken a step back, but I was not injured as well. To be exact, I was injured but only a little, and that injury is healing now. As for the reason I am did not take step despite receiving immense blow, as my physique is not capable of that. It's all because revolving fire around my sword. It is a move I thought watching those uncleared images when I was staring at the blood drop. In them, I saw how the high-speed revolving fire released from my monster mouth shaved away big part of hill, as if the hill was made of butter, not solid rock. Though the revolving speed of fire around my sword is not great, it is still able easily to defend against the attack of Violet 8-man. I don't know how you survived my attack, but this time you won't be that lucky. Screamed Grim race monster as it swung its warhammer at me, and its speed and might greater than before. Chapter 430 Intense Battle. I. Clank. Thud thud. Fuck. I cursed and swallowed down the blood back to my throat as I took the 2-step back. This blow of this Violet 8-man was really fearsome. If it would have handed on my body, then I would have surely died. You have survived, said Violet 8-man in shocked. It had expected its opponent will get seriously injured by its attack, if not that he would at least flew back and crashed against the abode behind, but all his opponent did was take a step back while a drop of blood trickled down from his lips. Seeing that, it got infuriated and decided to use all his strength in the next attack, and if its opponent survived that, then it would have no option but summoned its spirit totem. Zhu. Seeing another strike of the warhammer coming tearing through the air, I again swung my sword to meet its hammer while trying to increase the spinning speed of the fire that is covering my sword, as only this way I could survive the fearsome strike. Clank. Thud. Our weapons clashed, and this time his attack was more powerful than the last and made me take several steps back, but this time I was not injured as I was able to crush the fearsome force from it before it entered inside me. "You are very good, let's see if you are still good enough after I summoned my spirit totem," said the violet ape-man as it summoned its spirit totem. Just as I heard it saying it is summoning spirit totem, I attacked it, but by the time I got close to it, the spirit totem had already fused with it and it had launched its warhammer to meet my sword. Bang! Pooh! As its warhammer and my sword clashed, I felt extraordinary force infiltrating my body, which made use of all the power I had been holding back. While I was doing that, I had leveraged the force of the blow and jumped back, so I could deal with the force that is entering. Seeing me jumping back, Violet Ape-Man also didn't stay rooted on its spot and followed behind me with the speed that is unbecoming to its size. Looks like I have to stop holding back or this grim race monster will sure turn me into a paste under the giant-ass hammer of its. With that thought, I activated all the rule power and abilities I had been holding back. Thud. Just as I landed on the ground, it had appeared in front of me and swung its hammer at me, but this time, I was very much ready as I responded with my sword. Bang! Our weapons clashed, and unlike the previous time, this time I kept rooted on my spot without moving. As for the immense force that had come to attack me, it got evaporated just as it touched my sword. You! The violet ape-man's eyes went wide, seeing its attack did not affect me a bit for a moment before its shock turned into anger and it launched another attack at me, but this time its attack is different as some strange ruins had also appeared on its hammer. Seeing that, I got alarmed but did not back down as my sword directly went toward its hammer fearlessly, with fire covering my sword getting twice bigger. I had advanced leaps and bound, and if it had been normal kernel stage elite of mid-level hunting ground had been its place, it would have died in the single. Hell, even those tetrad centipedemen who is famous for their hard defense and very easy to kill had also died, but the single sword or mine. But these violet ape-man are really powerful, and the one which is fighting Emma is most powerful, comparable to 1-star elite. Clank! His warhammer clashed against my sword again, bringing immense force. It is a good thing that I am using all my strength, otherwise I would have really done for. Seeing I again defended its attack, its anger rose, so is its killing intent, and as it swiftly took back its hammer and attack again. Clank, 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 clank. The barrage of attacks started. It had been barely a minute since our fight started and we had exchanged 6 powerful moves, but only now, with intense moves that came one after another, I felt the real battle had started. Our weapons start clashing and each move is stronger than others. Not only its moves are getting stronger but mine too, and it is I am proving faster. It's right when they say, if you want to utilize what you had learned, then battle. I had learned many things in the earlier change, but I did not get the chance to consolidate it. But now, as the battle is raging, I started to utilize and consolidate what I have learned from the chance. The power imbalance I was facing with the sudden rise of power also started to diminish as well. There is one thing which is helping me a lot, which I never expected would be much help, except being used to operate soul power. My soul power had advanced quite a bit, and I was surprised to find that due to it my though process increases due to it, which not only helping me manipulate my rule power expertly, it is also helping me to navigate in the battle expertly. Though I had known that the soul power increased the thought process, I have never taken it seriously as I never had enough soul power that let me know the difference, but now I have known, I will try my utmost to increase my soul power from now on. Oh, fuck. I thought as I sensed my opponent killing intent rise suddenly. In the battle, whenever there is a drastic change in the opponent's emotions, that means opponent going to do something, and most of the time that is not good for the other party, and I was right. Occult method. Though in my mind is very frightening fluctuation arose from the opponent that scared the hell out me. I guessed it had occult method but had not thought it will utilize it this early in the battle. I had already thought a special move to defend against the occult method, but I can't utilize this move right now as it takes time and I quickly have to think for a way to deal with this incoming attack. Only after I survive this attack will I have the time to use the special move. The violent fluctuation arose from my opponent's body as the hammer which is coming at me ferociously covered with dusk-like energy which gave me a really scary feeling. Seeing the hammer is coming at me very fast speed and there is no chance for me to dodge. Seeing this violet ape man had an abnormal speed which is faster than me, my mind went to crisis mode. Thank God I have killing rule which is perfect to deal with such threatening situation. Staring intently at the hammer, I started to search for the ways to deal with the warhammer while my sword went to clash against it. Chapter 431 Intense Battle 2. I have to think of the way quickly if my sword clashed against the warhammer in this condition, then having serious injury will be least of my worries. I can use that. I thought as multiple ways to deal with the warhammer flashed in my mind. This is going to hurt me badly. I thought as I moved my sword a little so the tip of my sword would clash against the warhammer, not its blade. Boom. Crack. Thud thud, poo poo. Just as the tip of my sword touched the warhammer, I released the point inferno which I had already stored earlier. As I released the point inferno, a loud boom occurred, but at the same time, an immense force traveled inside me which made vomit blood, crack the bones and injured my internal organs before I could stop that energy. That was for the normal force. There is occult energy which had entered inside me which I had asked Ashlyn to burn it off. As for the violet ape man, it not better than me. As the point inferno released against its warhammer, it had to take a couple of steps back just like me and also got injured as I could see a trickle of blood coming out its mouth. You lowly food, if I don't crush all the bones of your body with my hammer then I am not named Gavin. It bellowed as it came toward me with fury. It had completely lost it. I thought of seeing its eyes turning red. There is no fear in my eyes seeing it coming toward me in a frenzy. When I started to battle it, I had already guessed it would have an occult skill and had a special move to deal with it but wasn't able to use earlier due to sudden attack, but now I can easily use that move. Bring it on. I thought as the fire came out my hands and feet as it completely covered them, and this fire is not the spinning fire but a very dense fire which can give me boot at any moment. This also one of the moves I saw in the unclear image when I was comprehending from the blood drop. Whenever that strange monster comes across any mighty foe, it would completely cover itself with the dense fire. It did not cover itself for the protection but for the boost. With fire covering every part of its body, it could create a boost to amplify the power of its moves whenever it wanted. It was like the previous fire moves I had designed, but it is a lot more advanced. It would be really great if I had been able to clear the clear image of the beast, as I would have able to see the real intricacies of this fire armor. This fire armor is not simply covering the one fire, there are a lot of intricacies involved in it. I was only able to gain some inspiration from that monster's fire armor and have enough energy to cover my hands and feet, not the full body, but I think it would be more than enough to deal with the grim race monster in from me. Clank. A large metallic bang rang out as our weapons clashed, but no one took the step back. Clank 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 clank. We intently kept staring at each other with our weapons locked, but suddenly both of us took our weapons back and started to clash intensely. That in a minute we had exchanged more than 100 moves. I had easily dealt with the force the blows, but the real challenge was the occult energy. That God I have Ashlyn, whose control over the rule power has increased immensely, that she can now cage the occult energy in the cage made of rule power before burning it off slowly. I will have to learn this cage trick from Ashlyn, but it will be hard as I still not have expert control over my rule power as Ashlyn does. Clank clank clank. We kept clashing intensely, but no matter how much we try, we can seem to get upper hand in the battle. Time passed by and it had been more than 10 minutes we are continuously clashing against each other without taking a moment of break, and that is making us tired. But despite the tiredness coming over us every moment, the power of our moves did not decrease, instead it increased by leaps and bounds. The incomplete fire armor I have created gave me the boost for every move I make, and the time passed by. As my control over it increased, the power of the boosts also increased with it. My body had turned very sweaty and I feel pain with every move I make. I have been fighting intensely for the past 20 minutes and it needs rest to cool down. Even the rest of the 20-second would be enough for pain and tiredness to go away, but I did not have that, as once I stop, my opponent will take advantage of that, and I want to imagine what will happen after that. 10 more minutes passed, but the intensity hadn't slowed down even a bit, but one could see the extreme tiredness on our faces as we wait while we fighting. It is probably waiting for occult energy inside me being piled up, so I could directly go down, and I was waiting for it to use a more powerful attack. The violet ape man in front of me has amazing physic that he can use the occult method for more than an hour without feeling any side effect, but if he overdrafted the occult method for more power, he will instantly become tired for a while. I was waiting for it to overdraft its occult method, so I could defeat it. As for how I am doing to defend against it, I have a way, but that way also has the time range. That is why I am waiting for its power attack instead of launching mine, as if I attacked first and it's able to dodge, then I will be in serious trouble. It is also thinking the same. That is why it hadn't launched that all-out attack yet. But it will launch it soon as its killing intent for me reaching the peak, and Ape-Man tribe is not known for its patience. Just as I thought that, I sensed a very fearful fluctuation from the violet ape, seeing that I got ready and waves started to appear on the fire armor that covering my hands and feet as intense fluctuation produced from it. Die! Violet Ape-Man bellowed loudly. Gripping my sword tightly, I also swung my sword. As I did that, the fire that was covering my feet shot forward and merged with the one present on my hand. After merging, a large portion of it moved into my sword while leaving some of it back as protection. Boom! Good! A loud boom was produced as our weapons clashed and shockwave released, which swept away all the leaves around us. Not only that, the ground we are standing is also caved under our pressure as our weapons kept locked on. Poo-poo. We stayed on our spot with our weapons locked for a moment before the blood started to come out of every part of our body, mouth, nose, eyes, ears. Suddenly Violet Ape-Man shook and fell on the ground with its huge warhammer. Chapter 432 Intense Battle 3. Thud. It fell on the ground with its warhammer making a loud thud. I got quite scared thinking it might be dead, but soon got relieved, signs of life coming from it. If it had been dead, then I would have had been in serious trouble. Then even Team Leader would have had a hard time saving me from the big Violet Ape-Man. It is just seriously injured, and the reason it had lost consciousness because of the shock it had received during our earlier clash. The power of my last move was so great that it had directly made it unconscious. With the vitality of the Grim Race monster, it will not take more than half an hour to heal all the injuries and wake up. As for how I dealt with the force that came from its last move, it quite easy. I had directed it all on the remaining concentrated fire left on hands, which I had specifically left behind to deal with the force that is going to come at me. So, just as the immense force entered inside me, I directed it all to fires that were covering my hand with my soul energy. Just force met the fire, it had devoured nearly all the force and diapered. That was not the normal fire. It was not only very dense fire made of my ability, it also had my both rule powers merged in it. As for the intense occult energy that came with it, it was swiftly caged by the Ashland, and now she is burning it bit by bit. Gulp. After drinking a bottle of potion, I looked at the battle around me only to see, except Sophia and Reina and me, everyone is still fighting. Which is really surprising, as I thought first to finish fight would be Emma and Richie, as they are the strongest, and last ones one would be twins, as they were fighting 3 Violet Ape-Men, but I was very wrong, as exactly opposite had happened. While twins finished first, Richie and Emma are still fighting. I should not have also finished this fight early despite the ape using its power move by overdrafting its occult method, as with this powerful body of it, it would have still able to fight me for quite a while, but the last move I made was truly powerful. It's all being possible due to my soul energy. Only with its help I was so efficiently diverted the force to fire on my hands, otherwise that force would have easily broken every bone of my body. Truth to be told, I got quite scared when I saw it using a powerful strike of its, as it is way more powerful than I had expected, but that time I had no choice but using my own attack to defend, as the dodging it was out of the question. And when our weapons finally clashed and I was able to survive with minimal injuries, I was quite surprised, as I had expected half the bones in my body would break by that strike. I have never realized the importance of soul energy except being used to run rule power, but I have attached completely different level attachment to it and will try further improve it whatever chance I got. Everyone around me is still fighting while twins are looking at the fight above after they had bound the 3 Violet Ape-Men with rope, and these 3 Violet Ape-Men looked at twins as if they want to eat them raw. I, seeing them, took the rope of my storage and bound the unconscious Grim Race monster with. This rope is not simple. This rope is night-grade artifact which is specially used for binding. Not only I have bound the Grim Race monster with rope, I even stuffed gag in its mouth so it could not make any sound like the tweens did their defeated Grim Race monster. That is why the 3 Violet Ape men are only glaring them, not cursing them. With that done, I looked up while still keeping an eye on the Ben as he seemed to take a beating from the Violet Ape man he is battling. Gasp. The fight between our team leader and leader of Violet Ape men also reaching the climax, as every minute, thousands of moves will be fired by them, which made me shocked and astonishment. Each and every move made by them are earth-shaking. I know that if I hit by any of their moves directly, then only death would be my end, no matter what move, ability or rule power I used to survive from it. I had expected our team leader to be powerful, but he is more powerful than I imagined. There is no sign of the serious injury that could be seen both of them, but it is Violet Ape Man who seemed very frustrated as it is bellowing at every move it is making. The reason for its frustration is simple, that it could never able to get close to our team leader despite summoning its spirit totem and using the occult method. As I watched the batter above, I noticed a thing about the team leader, that every arrow of his is a strike at the weakness of the opponent. I first thought team leader is really a good archer, but as I kept watching their battle, I started to think there is something. He is either using a sensory type of skill or sensory type of rule power which is aiding him sensing his opponent's weakness. 20 more minutes passed by, and in that time the fight between Team Leader and Violet Ape Man had become even more intense, that Team Leader finally had to summon his totem artifact and use his occult method. The totem artifact of the Team Leader is a bow, and it is very beautiful. The bow is green in color and has a beautiful patterns around it, which I wasn't able to see it clearly due to the distance between us. Every move of there produced the shockwave, which is comparable to the regular attack of Violet Ape Man I had fought, and it continues to injure those down below, including me. Currently, my whole body covered with the light fire armor, which is barely able to keep me safe from the shockwaves of their battle. My fight with the Ape Man did not injure much as these shockwaves doing it. Violet Ape Man's attack I could defend as it was coming from the single directly, but the shockwaves are all-encompassing which swept through the body, so the best way to defend against them is used armor. Suddenly I sensed the terrifying fluctuation, and the next moment I saw white smoke coming from the leader of Violet Ape Man as it leaped toward the team leader with blurring speed. Its speed is so great that I was only able to catch only after images it had left behind. When I look at the team leader, he did not seem worried as his face is very calm. One would even think he is not responding if they did not see the glowing green arrow that is knocked on his bow, which is sending just as terrifying fluctuations at the leader of the Grim Race monsters. Chapter 433 Last Day. Zup. Team leader released the glowing arrow when the leader of Violet Ape Man covered half the distance between them. The arrow, which as if teleported had appeared in front of the leader of the Violet Ape Man, who at inhuman speed swung its hammer at the arrow. Boom. A loud boom rang out in the sky, and that boom is so loud as that I started to hear white noise as I flanged across the 3 by the shockwave produced by their clash. Bam! I crashed across the tree and felt quite some of the bones had been broken, but I did not care about any of that as I quickly moved away from the tree with my wretched condition and looked but to see the result of that fearful clash. What I saw above is that our team leader and leader of the Violet Ape Man stood across each other. Both looked very pale and there seemed to be taking a deep breath, but despite that their weapons are ready to respond to each other moves. We will finish our battle for now, said the leader of Violet Ape Man. He put his hammers down, seeing that team leader also put down his bow but did not summon back. It was really a good battle, but next when we meet, I will definitely kill you, said leader of Violet Ape Man. Same, replied the team leader as he and leader of the Violet Ape Man walked down. This battle was not the simple challenge battle. If their strength had been way greater than the other, they would have definitely killed their opponents. As for what had happened to their ments, there is no question to ask. This is a war of races, there is no place for compassion here. For us, they are invaders, and for them, we are delicious food, and we will not stop killing till every member of the Grim Race is dead. Soon both of them come down, and when they saw scenery on the ground, smile and anger appeared on their faces. Our team leader smiled. White leader of Violet Ape got angry. Trashes, shouted leader of the Violet Ape Man loudly as he saw 4 of its men are bound by the rope. Those bound by the rope were the opponent of twins, Emma, and mine. As for what happened to opponents of Richie and Ben, they were not able to finish their fight on the time and stopped when the big shockwave came earlier. We will not be returning to base unless each one of you became the one-star elite," growled leader of the Violet Ape-Man loudly, and hearing the growl of their leader, 4 Violet Ape-Man bowed their neck shame before looking at us intense hate. The leader of Violet Ape-Man effortless broke the night-grade ropes and took away its mentees, but not before taking one last look at the team leader's face as if wanted to remember his face. "Phew, this one was really strong. If not the chance we have got yesterday, I wouldn't have stood the chance against this Violet Ape-Man," said the team leader while releasing the deep sigh. We all understood the implication behind his words, and our mood also became a little heavy before we sighed of relief and started to burn off the occult energy inside us one by one. "Let's leave, we have been this forest long enough," said the team leader as he deactivated his abode, and we started to run toward the exit of this hunting ground. Only the last few hours team leaders going to be with us, and probably that is why our return journey had been filled with the chatter as we asked all kinds of questions to the team leader. This is the last day of his mentorship. After today we will be on own, and that is the most dangerous feeling, as if we come across the danger like today, then there will no team leader to save us from it. I will have to keep improving at every moment, as only then will I be able to deal with every danger I've come across. Everyone is asking questions to team leader, but there are 2 people who are rarely speaking and have quite a sad face. It was Richie and Ben. They are quite down ever since the battle is finished. Well, it is understandable, as only 2 of them weren't able to finish the fight they have started. Especially Ben, who was barely hanging on and quite seriously injured. When the battle is finished, it was only saving grace for to be not completely defeated by his opponent, which he would have if not that last shockwave which stopped the battles completely. Time passed by as we journeyed toward the outpost, and by the afternoon rolled around, we have reached the gates of the outpost. After crossing the city gates we moved toward the guild to confirm the end of our membership. Soon we reached the guild and entered the room that is allocated to us. "It's finished," said the team leader, and soon all have received the mail on our holowatches saying our mentorship had ended, and now we are free to make our own teams or join any team to battle Grim Race monsters. Seeing our mentorship had ended, we all became quite sad. We have learned many things in the past 15 days. Not only we were able to hunt our heart content with team leader being our shield, but we could also ask him advice about anything, but now we will be alone. There will be no team leader to protect us from the danger and instruct us when we are wrong. From today we are on our own. You all don't have to feel sad. You guys can always contact me or come to me if you needed any advice," said the team leader as he saw our sad faces. After saying some comforting words, he started to leave but suddenly stopped as if remember something. "I know you guys are very excited about Ephirian Ruin, and there's no question about your qualification about going there, but I would advise you all to think about it once again seriously," team leader said with a very serious face. "In Ephirian Ruin, not only people from outposts will enter but some from mid-zones as well, and not forget the loads of Grim Race monster that will enter. Your strength will be lowest there than any mid-level Grim Race monster of outpost able to kill you all with ease, much less high-level Grim Race monster of the outpost. The ones come from mid-zones, the monsters and restriction present inside the ruin, and not forget your fellow humans. So, you guys should think about it quite well before you decide to enter the Ephirian Ruin," said the team leader and left the room. Our mood has become quite heavy hearing what team leader said, but we all know this cruel reality, and despite knowing our chances of dying are quite high, we will still go there, as every ruin presents chances. The chances increase one's strength and the chances to change one's life forever. Chapter 434 Shocking News. "So, what we do about our team?" asked Sophia a few minutes after the team leader left the room. "The team? I don't know any member will stay on the team right now. Before clearing the 6th challenge in the guild, one can hunt alone and have to find a team. The team should have a minimum of 5 people, and they should be either member of the same guild or other S-class guild, or the experienced member of top A-class guild that is subsidiary to theirs. These are some quite tough conditions to form a team. Some teams stay while other teams break after the training period is over. I hope our team did not break away, as we all developed quite a bond with each other and knew others' abilities well enough that we fight very efficiently. Sorry, we have already promised a friend that we will join their team," said Emma, and Richie nodded with her. "Me too," said Ben. Hearing that I got disappointed, I was hoping that the team stays together so I won't have to go through the hassle of joining any new team or finding the members if I form the new team, but it seemed like it can't be avoided. I am sure you guys would find good teammates, said Emma as she consoled before leaving the room with Richie. Ben did the same, and now only we three left, and to form the team, we need 2 more members at least. Do you have any friends in mind? I asked, seeing they are from the capital of the Republic and also a member of powerful organizations. There have to be some friends of theirs that are available, and Sophia had many times told me that many of her friends have come to this grim battlefield, so there are some chances that some of their friends may join our team. Yes, we have some friends in S-class guilds, but we will have to ask then if they are willing to join our team, replied Sophia. And you, Michael, do you have any friends who could join us? Sophia asked. I shook my head saying no. All my friends from the West Blood had gone to the completely different outpost, and I have not made any friends except for my teammates. As for the Ruby and Seth, I have met before joining the guild. I can't ask them as I don't know them well enough to invite to join my team. Don't worry, we will definitely find good teammates, said Sophia, seeing the little worry on my face. Now, let's go and check our combat score, only then will we be able to attract more team members, Sophia said. I nodded. What she said is right. To attract the new team members we will have to show some strength, especially when we post a request for team members in the guild forum to find the new members. 1.5 hours later we returned from measuring our combat score with a smile on my face as the combat score I got better than I had expected, and I've not used my killing rule in the process. The combat score I've got is above 10,000, which is really good. It's very rare for rookies in their first month to get the combat score above the 10,000. It is not only me but the twins also got combat scores above 10,000, and their combat score only had the difference of 3 points, seeing that I don't whether to laugh or cry seeing that. We will call you in 2 days. If our friends decline then we will post the requirement on the forum. I am sure with our combat score any rookie will come running to join our team, said Sophia before she left toward her apartment with her sister. We have decided to take 3 days off for the rest and consolidate what we have learned through the chance. Though the battle helped us a lot, there are still many things that are left to figure it out for use, and not to forget there is that reward that everybody got. I got the blood of the king stage beast, others must have also got something of a similar level. So, the 3 days are the minimum one needed to figure out if there wasn't the need of increasing the strength as soon as possible to go into the Ephirian ruin. I would have definitely taken off the 15 days least. There is the blood of the king grade monster is present in Ashland's source, and not only it is emitting the faint fire rule from it, but it is also showing me these unclear pictures that give me inspiration for the fire move that I have created. In the next 3 days, I want nothing more than concentrate on that drop of monster blood. If I had 1 month whole then I am confident that I can advance my Sunfire rule to mid-level of basic grade, and I am sure that once my Sunfire rule's comprehension had reached the mid-level of basic stage then I will have the qualification to challenge the 4th challenger of the guild challenge. The strength of one increase immensely whenever one advance in rule power. It did not matter if it is an advancement in the small stage of the rule power, much less advancement of the stage where one's strength increased tremendously. Soon I reached my apartment and I found the drone is already waiting there with my lunch. I haven't eaten anything today except for some snacks in the team meeting room, from which most of them eaten by Ashlyn, and since then she is still complaining about food, saying she is feeling very hungry. As soon as I went inside the apartment, I had to open the lunchbox for Ashlyn to eat, as she had been asking me for the food ever since we had entered the outpost. I took the long shower, cleaned away all the dirt I've accumulated throughout the day. I felt quite refreshed after the show. After wearing clothes I started to eat lunch as I am also feeling quite hungry. Laying on the bed, I started to check the notification and read the news of the last 2 days. There was a lot more notification I had expected, and it took me quite a while to read through them. Ting. I was about to close the window when a news notification came, and I wanted to close the window but curiously opened the link, seeing it is from home. Gasp. Fuck. I shouted loudly, so loudly that even Ashlyn, who was taking a nap in the balcony, woke up and looked at me with annoyed eyes before going back to her nap. This news is really shocking, not only to me but to every youth of my country or even to the whole continent. I have never imagined something like this would happen. They moved the timetable more than a year early, and now my all well-thought plan had gone to the drain. So much detailed planning went to nothing. Chapter 435 Effects. The League of Heroes Championship, which is supposed to happen 2.5 years later, is now happening 14 months later, which is more than a year early than its original time. The reason for this big chance of schedule is Continental Championship. The League of Heroes always happened 3 months earlier than the Continental Championship, so the champions of the League of Legends could go there to participate. Our country also sends many people to participate in it, but they never able to make far. This rescheduling had collapsed all my plans about the League of Heroes. I thought with 2.5 years in hand and with the help from the energy of the miracle fruit, I could at least reach the Brigadier stage. At the time very few people would have been able to fight me for the top, but now with so little time, there is very low hope for me to get into the top 10, much less win the league. As for winning the Continental Championship, I have never dreamed of it, but I always have hoped to get top 100 in it at least, which itself is an honor. The Continental Championship is where the whole continent's powerhouses gather, and each and every one of them is supremely powerful. In the history of our country, only one person was able to enter the top 10, and that is the winner of the previous League of Heroes, Elizabeth Calling. She was the only one who was able to enter the top 100 in the Continental Championship, while the other who we sent over the years were not even able to cross the 500. When I was in Westblood, I used to wonder how the participants of Continental Championship are so amazingly powerful, but I understood it all after I come here to the Grim Battlefield and understood that it is the reason why they are powerful. Grim Battlefield not only has immensely resourced of all kinds, but it also challenges in the form of Grim race that made them so powerful. Now looked like if I had to participate in the League of Heroes and then Continental Championship, then I will have to up my game, otherwise all my dreams of League of Heroes will be turned into dust, much less about Continental Championship, which I won't even have the qualification to dream about it, much less participate in it. When I went to Westblood and now in Grim Battlefield, my horizon has broadened quite a bit, and so is the dreams, and that is why I will try my hardest to win the League of Heroes and then participate in the Continental Championship with the goal of getting into top 100 at least. As I was just reading the news, my feed started to buzz with voices, and all the talk was about this change in schedule, as it does not only affect us but it affected others also. Everyone is talking about this news, as the fighting competition of their countries also roamed around the Continental Championship, and now the date of Continental Championship had changed, means the date of competition in their country, and also changed their plans they had about the Continental Championship. I've read the feed for a while and also answered the call which I got from the Sophia. Lying on the bed, I closed my eyes for a while to calm my mind before walking toward the open space, activating the temperature room. I wanted to take a nap for some rest, but after the reader the news, I am in no mood to sleep anymore. Now, not only I would have had to increase my strength for the Ephirian Ruin, but also for the League of Heroes and Continental Championship also. So, I set up the poison of the Snake Man at a whopping 25%. It will be very dangerous and painful to experience 25% poison of the Snake Man without protection, but now I have no choice but to that. Before leaving of Ephirian Ruin, I have to be at the Master stage. If not for chance, I would have been in the high level of the Sergeant stage, but due to the power of Blood Drop I had leveled up to the peak level of the Sergeant stage, and now I have to level up to the Master stage. If I would not have leveled up, it would have been possible for me to level to peak level of Sergeant stage by the end of the month with the help of the Miracle Fruit energy, but now if I want to level up to Master stage before going to the Ephirian Ruin, it's going to be very difficult. Difficult because I will need the immense amount of Miracle Fruit energy, and seeing it is level up between stages not level, then it will need me 5 times more energy than I would have needed for the level up to Master stage. I will need to feed an immense amount of energy to energy of the Miracle Fruit grow enough to make me level up to the Master stage, and only poison of Snake Man could provide me that much amount of energy. So, to level up, I will need to bear the agony of the Snake Man's poison in every inch of my body, which will be very torturous, that I just want to stop the poison setting that I just made. Taking a deep sigh to calm me, I started to perform the body cleansing technique and super combat exercise. Ah! I screamed loudly just a few seconds after I started performing body cleansing technique. The poison started to come out and it had completely enveloped my body. I feel tense pain as it went inside every inch of my body, There is not the single part of my body that I hadn't felt pain from, and that's not the worst part. The worst part is that the poison's numbing effect started to take the effect that makes me lose control of my body parts while giving me immense pain on the way. Earlier when I used to practice, I never got this numbing feel, or to say, I got this numbing feeling, but my body was strong enough to endure it. But clearly, this 25% poison is above the limit my body could handle. I started to make my movements faster and faster, so the energy of miracle fruit came out and started to eat th poison, which made me feel a little better. But that moment didn't last long, as the more time passed, the more poison started to came out, and that started accumulating in me. I increased my speed again and started to perform it faster. The faster, I always perform body cleansing techniques so as possible, especially when the miracle fruit came to maximize the time it would need to eat the energy. If I don't, then I would turn numb and won't have a choice but to burn away some of the poison, so I won't fall completely, and I don't want to use that option, as it would not only be waste of the poison, but I would also have to break the promise I made about not using the rule power during the practice. Chapter 436 Practice. I kept performing faster and faster, and before I know it, I had crossed 30th pose and still moving forward with breakneck speed. This is faster I've ever performed the body cleansing technique, though now my speed of performing may seem like I am slow like a snail. In reality, I am 3 to 4 times faster compare when I performing 31st pose last time. After performing the 31st pose, I started to perform 32nd. This was the last pose I performed last time before I had completely lost all the energy, but now that I leveled and feel there is little energy remain in me, I may chance to reach the 36th pose and go through the third minor cleansing. With that thought, I started to perform even more ferociously and able to 33rd pose. The more I move forward, the more tired I am becoming, but I have not lost my as I kept moving without stopping, and one reason for that is the immense pain I am feeling. Numbness had become little manageable, but the pain had increased. Every second is torture, but despite feeling such torture I kept advancing forward. At 34th pose, I felt like I've lost all the energy and just wanted to give up and sleep, as this pain of poison became really unbearable. I would not have felt this tired if I had not experienced an intense battle in the morning. If I had taken the nap, with the relaxed and rested body, I would have had a chance to reach the 36th pose then than now. There's no need to waste time thinking about what could have happened. The important thing is now moving forward and reach the 36th pose. That should be my only goal right now. I somehow able to reach the 35th pose, but now moving an inch for me has become difficult, but despite that, I didn't stop performing through the sheer will. I have learned the importance of the will from the test given by Great Existence. As long as one has will strong enough, then one can shoulder the world, much less reaching this 36th poses. As this thought came to my mind, I upped my effort and started to perform more ferociously, wanting to reach 36th in this session. I continue performing at slower than snail pace while experiencing the torture brought by the poison, which is present in every part of my body. If not for me seeing the energy of miracle fruit eating this poison ravenously and growing every second, I would have given long ago. Finally, I had reached the 36th pose, and just as I reached it, the very bad smell started to come out of my body. Smelling such bad smell, I wanted to stop and ran out, but I controlled myself and continued performing. It is important that I completely perform the 36th pose, as only then will I able to receive the complete benefits of the third minor cleansing. I kept performing and performing, even I felt like I have no energy in me and my willpower running dry. I kept performing and only stopped when I fully performed the 36th pose. Thud. I fell on the floor with a thud. I had completely lost all the energy I had, and I can't even twitch my finger even if I wanted to. It is a good thing that I am performing the body cleansing exercise in the special room, which had absorbed all the sweat that falls from my body, otherwise I would have been lying in the very foul smell sweat. Just as I fell on the floor, all the poison in the room and foul smell sucked away. This is one of the special commands I have given to the room, that as soon as I have lost movements, everything present in the room should be sucked away and then neutralized. This command I have given to neutralize the poison in the room, as I don't walk outside with poison present over my body. While I lay on the ground like a dead fish, I started to observe my body with my sense and found that my body became a lot more flexible and free. I wish I had the energy to move. I would have really liked to see how my body feels right now. In the morning, I had the confidence to against and even heavily suppressed the third challenger and the guild challenger with the power of my fire move, but now I have the confidence to defeat it. The body cleansing exercise does not increase one's strength except for making body stronger, but it makes the body free and flexible so much that it directly increases one's strength. If I could do the challenge today, I could have, but I would have already used my chance of this week. I really want to know if I could clear the third challenge. I am now feeling both happy and sad, happy because I finally went to the third minor cleansing and sad because the position amount is not enough. If I practice in 25% poison, I will not have to level up to the master stage before going to Ephirian Ruin. So, if I want to level up to the master stage within a month, then I will have to continually increase the poison daily, just that though enough to make my immobile body shudder. I have already at the limit and don't know if able to bear the pain if I increase the limit of the poison. I shake the thought of poison in my seeing it is stressing me. I will think about the increasing the poison percentage when the time comes. Time passed and soon half an hour passed and I gained the ability to walk barely. With that I carefully walked out of the room and directly went to the shower. After taking a cold shower, I laid on the bed to rest, but before I know it I had already fallen asleep and woke up in the early evening. With the few hours of sleep, the tiredness of my body had completely vanished and now I feel like my body is brimming with energy, ready to face any challenge. After freshening up, I started to make dinner for us while listening to some music that Ashlyn doesn't dislike. I have to be very careful about the music when I am playing across the whole apartment because of Ashlyn. She don't like music, or to say she doesn't like most of the music, and she is very vocal about it. They're very songs and melodies she liked, and I have to play only those when I don't want to scream at me, and that is why I even made the playlist with her name to play it in open. As I was eating, I am also reading the material I brought about the Ephirian Ruin. The documents are very long and would need days to read it all. The guild has a quite detailed record of the Ephirian Ruin, and as I continued to read it, I became really scared. This ruin is really dangerous. Not to forget the danger that came from outside in the form of humans and the Grim race, it has its own dangers in the form of runic restrictions and monsters. There are powerful monsters that roam every part of the ruin, and each time ruin opened, thousands of people got killed by these monsters. The monsters here are not like the ones I fought in back home. These monsters are unusually powerful and some can even kill 3-star elite with ease. The only good thing about the monsters is that they are all within the night stage. Chapter 437 Fire Threads. As for the runic restriction, it's all up to the luck as they are a very high level that very few people could solve them. It is said that this ruin was a high level one, but with the time level of ruins regressed that it had become the lowest one. So, despite most of these restrictions had withered with the time, there are still many that are partially active and suddenly get activated and kill a lot of people in the process if they are lethal type. The one thing I found most dangerous about this ruin is that it's unexplored. It is said that his ruin is not even explored a half, and the reason that it had only appeared 2 times ever, which is really less time to completely explore ruin like this. As I read it, I make a note of areas that I want to explore and the ones I want to avoid. There are many areas which are out of my league and need high strength. Those who venture there without having enough strength die without knowing how. I read the documents for 2 hours before I put it down and asked Ashlyn to come inside me before I head back to the temperature room. It is now time to concentrate on the blood drop in Ashlyn's source. I not only want to comprehend from that faint fire rule power but also take inspiration from the unclear image to perfect the fire armor move I've created. I come inside the temperature room because outside I could burn my whole apartment down if I make the mistake when I using my fire armor. Inside the room, I sat cross-legged and concentrate toward my source, and from there I went to Ashlyn's source when I found the blood drop is quietly floating above Ashlyn's source silently. I felt relieved seeing it quietly floating above Ashlyn's source without any mischief. This blood contains immense energy that even wisp of this energy could blow Ashlyn and me into the pieces that are why when I saw it quietly floating above Ashlyn's source, I felt quite relieved. I looked at the blood drop for a few seconds before focusing all my mental energy on it. As I concentrate on it, I soon sensed the extremely faint wisp of fiery fire rule and I started to focus on it deeply, wanting to comprehend the tiny bit of the fire rule from it that will help my sunfire rule reach the mid-level of basic grade. But that is very hard. climbing the steps of rule comprehension is very hard. One has put a lot of efforts before one could even comprehend the small wisp of it. I am not the only one who is comprehending from this blood drop, Ashlyn also doing it, I spent a few hours yesterday comprehending it and few hours today also, and earlier when I call her to come inside me, that time also she was comprehending from the blood drop. She had comprehended the little bit, but it is not enough to make the rule power advance, but I am hopeful that if we kept comprehending these bits and pieces every day, then we will acquire enough comprehension to advance our Sunfire to mid-level of the basic stage. I hope that will happen before we head to the Ephirian ruins so that I will not be in one of the weakest participants. Time ticked by and I kept comprehending some bits and pieces when unclear images of the monster started to form in my mind. Seeing that, I turned ecstatic. I had been waiting for this moment quite a while and started to look and get the feel of these unclear images. Though these images are very blurry, akin to paintings drawn by my sister, they are still very useful. I continuously kept watching these images of monster with the single focus and couldn't help but marvel at how effortless it is using the fire ability of its. It is not just breathing fire like a normal monster, whereas there is no technique and grace is present in it. Its every move is able to bring maximum destruction without wastage of any energy. In these images, I could see that whenever it breathes the fire come out spinningly, so that not only has the momentum, but the fire will also produce the maximum damage. My favorites images are those where this monster fight to the very strong opponent, as that is where it utilizes its fire armor. The fire armor may seem simple cover of fire, but it is far from that. It is an exquisite piece of art, and from what I have seen and sensed through these images, I could tell that this armor is divided into the 3 modes. One is power mode, which is mainly used when the monster battle. It enhances the every made by the monster. Whatever move made by it will be enhanced many times in the power mode. The last move of mine, which had knocked out the opponent directly, was inspired by the power mode of the monster. The second is speed mode. This mode is used by the monster to flee. It gives an amazing speed that even a powerful monster than it left behind when the monster used this move. And the last is fusion mode, which gave both the speed and power. It is the trump card of monster, and it used this as the last option. It seemed like this option is last of the option of the monster, and seeing how few images of this move could be seen, it seemed to be the last option of the monster and put a lot of strain on it. The images kept changing in front me, some stayed for a second while others stayed for minutes. Some were little clear while other very extremely blurry, that even making sense out of them is very hard. If not for unique feeling they gave, it is near impossible to grasp the meaning from them. These images not only to watch but they for sensing as well. Each image had produced unique aura of its own, and if it's distinguished well, then one would benefit immensely. Images flashed by me and I kept studying them, taking whatever implication I could take from them. When another image flashed by me, it is one of clearer one, and the one in that monster is using its fire armor. Seeing that, I started to study it more diligently and noticed an unusual tiny spot in the image. Gasp! When I noticed what that tiny spot actually is, I gasped in astonishment. The whole image is blurry, but that one tiny spot is extremely. This will be the first getting clear look monster's fire armor. Though I am going to see an only tiny bit of the armor, it is more than enough. Without hesitation, I concentrated all my energy on that spot, and what I saw had clearly blown my mind completely. Threads, fire threads, there are thousands of them, hundreds of thousands of them. Chapter 438, Fire Threads 2. I was wrong, very very wrong from the beginning. Fire armor of monster, which I had thought made of extremely concentrated fire, is wrong. It is not made of the extremely concentrated fire but the threads, very fine fire threads. The tiny part of the monster's fire armor I am seeing is made of threads. Each of these threads is smaller than my hair, and I could see there are hundreds of thousands or even millions of fire threads would have needed to weave such amazing armor. I am not completely sure if the whole armor is woven by the fire threads or only some part of it, but it is still very astonishing. This just tiny part of its body, and this monster is hundreds of meters tall. To cast such impressive armors over one's body is simply impossible unless this is a special ability of the monster or any other way. I kept concentrating on that tiny part of the image with all my mind power, magnifying as much as I could with my mind power. After seeing the way it had woven, I tried to concentrate my mind power single fire thread. which is very hard as I am already concentrating enough to see the threads, but now I want to concentrate on the single thread, that going be very difficult. Still, I try and force myself, all of this to see the structure of the fire thread. I want of seeing if it just the very thin fire thread or there are some mysteries hidden in it. It is in the source I could do such thing with my tiny bit of soul power, as inside here there is no restriction of worldly laws. It is impossible to do this outside with the restriction of the worldly laws. I kept concentrating in concentration until I am finally able to lock on the single fire thread. Though it is a little blurry, it is still fine as I could make it clear with putting more efforts. Now that I am able to lock on to this single fire thread, I now have to focus on seeing clear and then seeing its complete structure. I am already at my limit to see the single fire thread among the hundreds of thousands of them, and I now have to concentrate on the fire thread again, which above my limit. Still, despite it above my limit, I kept trying and getting failed every time, but I still kept trying. Gasp. Time ticked by as I kept concentrating the single hair when all my efforts got paid off and I finally able to see the structure of that fire thread, and I am shocked by what I saw. That lone fire thread is made of countless fire thread, like the thick ropes of the old ages. I had never expected it to be simple thread, but I have never expected it to know that fire thread is made of the countless small fire thread, because that simply changed the dynamic of the fire armor. It is already horrifying to make the armor that was woven by millions of threads, and now each of those threads is made of countless more threads than the fire armor would be made of tens of millions of fire threads at least, and that is horrifying. Fuck. I was just observing that single thread, wanting to gain more clarity over it when the image front of me changed suddenly that I couldn't help but curse loudly. That image was simply treasured ground, where deeper you dig the more precious treasure you will find. I blankly looked at the new image that appeared in front of me for a while before getting out of Ashland's source and laid on the bed tiredly. What I had just done right now had completely tired me out mentally, that I just want to sleep, but I can't sleep yet as I had practiced the body cleansing technique and supreme combat exercise before I sleep. That was the last thought on my mind before I fell into sleep, and when I woke up, it was already morning. Sigh. I couldn't help but sigh when I woke up. I had wasted one whole precious session. I wanted to practice body cleansing technique and supreme combat exercise when I fell into sleep. I can't blame myself for it. I had already performed the body cleansing exercise at late afternoon, and then I used shitload of my mental energy to see that tiny dot on the image and not to forget the intense battle that I had yesterday morning. All these things made me so tired that I wasn't able to keep my eyes for more than few seconds before I fell into sleep. I laid on the bed for a while before I started doing my usual morning activities. Sometime later, I made lunch and ate it with Ashland. After that I went to the temperature room to perform body cleansing technique and supreme combat exercise. I have a target in the next 20 days, which is when the portal to the Epherian ruin opens. I will try to go through the 5th minor cleansing of body cleansing technique and create the 3rd amethyst seal. I performed the body cleansing technique and supreme combat exercise, and this time poison is a little greater. It is 26%, 1% more than yesterday. I lay on the ground weakly for half an hour, and when some energy returned to my body, I sat cross-legged and waited for some energy to return to my body as I read documents of the Epherian ruin. 1.5 hours later, I felt fine enough that I can walk normally without any shaking. I stood up and walked toward the command board of the temperature room. I tapped a few buttons on the temperature room to change the setting from one I had made for the practicing supreme combat exercise and body cleansing technique, and started to activate the mode I made for practicing my fire ability. After that, I stood in the center of the room and slowly the fire started to cover my hand till the elbow and my leg till the knee. Currently, for highest performance, I can only this much cover my body parts if I want to use this move in an optimal way. The fire on my hands and legs very dense, and it is concentrated to my limit, and if I were to cover my whole body, it will thin out a lot, which will make lose its efficiency. With my intention, the fire started to spread all over my body. It looked like the silver tide of water is spreading over my body. Soon my whole body covered in the fire, but at the single look one will able to tell how thinly it is covering my body, so currently it is best for me to cover only my hands and legs for the maximum potential. I will only able to cover my body fully with fire when I reach the lieutenant stage, so before that, I will have to work with this half-assed armor. Now that I summoned the fire, It is time to apply all the inspiration I got yesterday and see if it's doable to use with this fire armor of mine. Chapter 439 Swirling Armor and Power Blast Eye. With my current ability, it is not possible for me to create the tiny threads. The thinnest thread I could make is that of infant's pinky, which could not be called thread but a rope. Since I can't use them, I will try the small inspirations I got and also improve the mistakes which I felt when I used this move yesterday, and one of them is compression of energy. Soon the tiny swirls started to form on fire that is covering my hands and my feet. These swirls are very tiny, just an adult thumbnail size, and look very beautiful when they appear across my fire armor. Making them is not simple and quite a control and focus needed, as one tiny mistake and they would collapse. I started to make them one by soon they appeared on every part of my fire armor. Sometime later, there are nearly 100 swirls that have appeared on the fire armor. After they completely formed, I covered each and every one of them with my mind power and started to spin them. First, there was no change, but as time passed, the change started to appear. The fire armor that has been covering me started to become compressed and silvery colored, started to become more refined and bright. First, the fire that was making fire armor was little more than 2 inches thick with little consistency, but as the swirls started to compress the fire armor, the fire's thickness come to 2 inches and getting compressed even more. Seeing it is working, I increased the speed of swirls. It started to compressed and more compressed. There was nothing, but as time passed, the swirls started to shake, and seeing that, I swiftly stabilized the shaking with mind power. First, it worked, but as the compressing got further, it became quite harder to stabilize them when suddenly, one swirl went out control and crashed into another before I could control it forcefully. Puff. As I am busy with stabilizing one swirl, the other started lose control, and before I know it, I lost control completely, and in just a few seconds, all the swirls went out control and fire armor that was covering me went all puff. Sigh. Well, no one succeeds in their first attempt. I had never expected to succeed in the first attempt, and I am even happy because with this move as it has worked as I had expected. I had got inspiration about this move when I was watching the images in Blood Drop and thought the fire that was covering the monster is just an extremely compressed fire. That was before I saw the fire threads, but I cannot create fire threads with my ability, so creating armor of compressed fire seemed like the next best thing. This move is very amazing. If I am able to compress the fire to 1 inch, then I wouldn't even need to use the last move to clear the third challenge of the guild. I could easily clear it with compressed fire armor of mine. Compressing fire to 1 inch may seem simple, but it is very extremely difficult, as it gives similar power to that of my last move but without its drawbacks. My final move has a lot of drawbacks, of which 2 are most troublesome. One is that it used a lot of energy, both my mana and soul energy that is needed for it to control. The second is that it had a cooldown period of 10 minutes, because I would have used too much energy in the last movie that I won't able to summon the fire armor for at least 10 minutes. And the last move could also be performed through the compressed fire, which it having more power than the last movie which I performed last time. The last move could only be used as the trump card, as it makes one quite useless for 10 minutes, and 10 minutes are more than enough to die hundreds of times over in a place like Grim Battlefield. The last moves are not suitable for a long battle, where there are lost of the opponent. So, the best bet would be the fire armor, which could last hours if used efficiently. Now I have to get control over the swirls and made them compress fire armor to the 1 inch. It will be extremely difficult to control so many swirls and make them compress the fire armor to the 1 inch, but I am willing to work hard for it. My immediate goal is to compress the fire armor to the 1 inch, and long term are below 0.1 inches. It will be extremely difficult, as the more I compress the harder it will become, but I am confident as long as I give enough time and trying, I will have hopes of doing that. Taking a couple of deep breaths, I again covered my hands and legs with fire, and soon the beautiful small swirls started to form all over the fire armor. One by one they appear all over the fire armor, swirling slowly. Seeing the swirls had been made, I cover each and every swirl with my fire and started to swirl them faster. As they started to swirl faster, my armor started to become more compressed, and soon it has compressed my fire armor to 1.5 inches and kept compressing, but as I reached near the 1 inch, I started to feel more and more pressure, and controlling the swirls started to become harder and harder. Seeing it will be quite difficult swirling at such speed, I slowed down the speed of the swirls and moved forward. That seemed to work for a while as the swirl quickly stabilized and slowly started to compress, but after some time when it again begins to destabilize and collapsed soon after. After the second failed attempt, I kept trying and get failed again, but that did not stop me from keeping trying. 2 hours passed by such and I finally stopped, though, in these 2 hours, I had only able to successfully compress mana at 1 inch only 3, but it was enough. Currently, if it was not possible for me to use 1 inch compressed fire armor in battle. First, it takes too much time, and second, I will not able to maintain it more than a few seconds. So, I had decided to use 1.5 inch armor, which took me a minute to create and quite stable. So what I have to do now is bring time to create compress armor to 1.5 inches from a minute to just a few seconds and work on its stability. As currently I don't think I can maintain in the battle, so from today I should focus on cutting the time compress my fire armor 1.5 thick and stabilizing enough that it will not puff even in the intense battle. With that thought, I continued to practice with fire armor. Time passed by, the day passed and the night came and it also passed. The next day I also repeated what I did yesterday. Traying. I had just come out of the temperature room when my holowatch started to ring and it was Sophia. It is time she would call. I had been waiting for her call the whole day to know whether she was able to invite the 2 members to join our team. Chapter 440 Swirling Armor and Power Blast 2. Sophia, tell me you have good news? I asked her as I received her call. I am desperately hoping she had found us new members, otherwise we would have to search on the guild forum, which I really don't want to do for various reasons. Of course I did. If I didn't then I would have just messaged you, Sophia said with the extra bright smile. I just about asked her about the members when she started to tell me about them without me asking. 2 of my friends have agreed to join our team. They both are rookies and S-class guild like us. One is Silver Butterfly while the other one is from Black Cloud. She said. One of her friends should be female as Silver Butterfly. I hope the second new member of my team male, otherwise the only man in the team going to feel very awkward. Well, it's good they are both from the S-class guild, their strengths should be good. It would be quite nice if she had managed to get a strong and experienced member. You don't have to worry about their strengths, both of them have the combat score above 10,000, said Sophia as if she had read my mind. Combat score above 10,000 is good, they will least able to keep up with us. It's not like I am looking down on them, but in these 15 days of training periods, our strength had increased explosively, especially though that chance that map had brought to us. Do you want to meet them tomorrow? Asked Sophia. I am currently busy in the training, I will meet them the day after tomorrow, I said. I really don't have time as till today, I had still not perfectly mastered the fire move I have been working on, so I could only meet them when we leave outside for hunt. Okay. Sophia said, understanding my meaning. We talked some more about the mid-level hunting ground we are going hunt and some other stuff. A few minutes later we said goodbye after we discussed everything about the hunting plan of the day after tomorrow. I directly went for the shower after I finished my call with Sophia. I have been in the temperature room since I practiced body cleansing technique and supreme combat exercise in the morning, and now it is evening. I get out of the shower feeling refreshed and started to cook the dinner. After eating it I again read till the night before practicing supreme combat exercise and body cleansing exercise. The next day passed by and it was the same as yesterday. The only difference is that I was happy today, and the reason is that I am now able to compress the fire armor at 1.5 inches within 6 seconds, and I think it will be stable enough during the battle. I am also decided to change the names of little of my moves. I have now decided to call fire armor a swirling armor, seeing there are countless beautiful swirls on it, and also fire armor is quite a common name as many people covered their body with fire and call it fire armor. So it is better changing its name to the swirling armor. The second name I changed is that of the last move. Calling it the last move feels a little weird and I feel it is not a suitable name for it, so from today, I decided to call it Power Blast, and it is a quite fitting name for it. After deciding on the names, I slept, and when I woke up before the dust, I've had set up alarm but I had woke a few minutes before its timer. Today is the time I will go hunting again. Past 3 days had been quite fruitful. I had enough time digest the reward I got from the lucky chance. it could be said that my strength had quite a transformation. I wonder if there would be a change to the Sophia and Reina's strength also, as in 3 days, they would be able to digest and process the reward they got in the chance. 45 minutes later, I and Ashlyn got out of my apartment with our stomachs full of yesterday's leftovers. Michael. I heard my name just as I get out of my apartment building. It was Sophia and Reina who were waiting outside my apartment. Gasp. When I got near them and sensed their battle power, I couldn't help but get shocked, as there is an immense change in their battle power. My transformation in front of them seemed quite punny. It's not only one sister, but both of them had the transformation. It's either that reward one of them got is shareable, or both of them got the same reward. Whatever they have received in the reward must be quite astonishing to make their power rise to such degree. If I had not wronged, then any one of my sisters could suppress me in the battle alone. Michael, we have had received quite a good reward from the chance. If you do not improve fast enough, then you will be left in the dust by us, said Sophia as patted my shoulder with the bright smile. To that Reina looked at her glaringly, but she did not mind, instead smiled, even more, teasing me quite a bit about her improved strength. To her teasing I just smile, as I know what she's saying is completely true. We have to register our team in the 3 of the guild, so we'll first go to the Silver Butterfly, then Black Cloud before going back to our guild. The 2 new members of our team are waiting at the Silver Butterfly, Sophia said as we sat into the hover car. In the grim battlefield, everything is very strict. If we want to make new team, then we will have to register at our guild, and if the members are from the different guilds, they will have to register with all their guild. Only then will we get the permission to go outside. Soon we reached the Silver Butterfly, and I saw its iconic statue that is faintly emitting the power of all sorts of rules. I still remember my first day in the grim battlefield when I saw the statue and found it quite peculiar. Sophia and Reina, I said, 2 voices calling, and to my utter surprise, I know one of them. I don't personally know her, but I have seen her many times and heard about her from my friends. She is Rachel, the first super elite I have ever seen. I have quite marveled at her ability when I first time saw her. She was awe-inspiring that time, killing whatever monster we have come across with a single arrow from her bow. She still looked hot as before, or I should say she had become hotter as she matured in the past 2 years. That time she seemed very strong, almost unreachable. I still remember when I saw her real power fighting gigantified monster. I had promised myself that I will reach her level and even beat her. I now seem to complete that promise, and when I sensed her battle power. She is a little weaker than me. If I had not come across the lucky chance, then she would have been easily able to beat me without any efforts.